A major legal victory for Nobel laureate Maria Ressa and her digital news company Rappler. A Philippine court has overturned their conviction on 4 charges of tax evasion. The case stems from the link between Rappler and a foreign philanthropic investment firm. But Ms Ressa's battles are far from over. She has 3 more pending cases, including cyber libel and a separate tax case. Rappler CEO and Nobel laureate Maria Ressa joins us live from Manila. Ms Ressa, first, congratulations on this acquittal. This is definitely a victory. But I'm sure the analytical journalist in you is already looking at the bigger picture. Do you think anything has changed so that, and I quote you, we are seeing the end to politically motivated abuse of power to stop journalists from doing their jobs?
So first, we're enjoying this moment because it is the first time in over 6 years that we have won a legal battle. First time, right? And there were so many that were filed against us. But, is this the end? Definitely not. But what has happened in the Philippines is fear has lifted. These cases were filed under the reign of President Rodrigo Duterte. And now it feels like with that fear lifted, you can feel it within the context. There are movements within the cabinet of President Marcos, the security forces, both the police and military. There's restiveness, and lawmakers are shifting. It's quickly shifting sands, but it is I hope, a time of creation. This is a good first step forward. These cases, as I had always said, should never have made it to court now. The Court of Tax Appeals agrees with us.
All right, fear has lifted, but let me point to other Filipinos jailed under the Rodrigo Duterte administration. You yourself have said this acquittal is a ray of hope for such individuals as former Senator Leila de Limpo and Frenchie May Cumpio. These are people who are jailed, one on drug charges and the other for terrorism charges. Now, I have heard suggestions, and you can challenge me if they're wrong, that these individuals, particularly Ms. de Lima, if she were released or acquitted, that would be a direct challenge to the current administration in charge. So her release might be a greater risk than, as an example, yours. Do you think the acquittal of Ms. de Lima would spell significant change that would make you even more optimistic about press freedom in the Philippines?
I think we'd have to see these cases through, and the difference, that lack of fear allows judges and justices to do the right thing. It takes away the political pressure that was there in the past. And I think that is significant. In the case of Leila de Lima, God, by February, she will have been in prison for 7 years. She begins her 7th year in prison for what is essentially a case where her critics, the people who testified against her, were convicted criminals, and many of them have recanted, right? So this is one of those things that, not just Filipinos, but the entire world is looking at. I think President Marcos, who at this point in time is in Davos, Switzerland, trying to entice foreign direct investment into the Philippines, I think any movements on these cases, moving towards justice, shows rule of law reigns, and that would certainly be good for investments.
So would you say unequivocally that we are seeing a clearer, more unequivocal return to rule of law across the board, not just for journalists, but for anyone who might challenge authorities in the Philippines?
It's probably too soon. I think what we can say is that this victory is not just Rapplers or journalists. It is for anyone who has been unjustly accused, where the law has been weaponized against them because of political favors or power, right? That is something we can say. And that's part of the reason I brought up these other cases. I think there's still a lot more to go. We need to strengthen institutions because in the end, part of what has gotten us to this place is technology. Social media platforms that literally allows lies to travel faster than facts to each of us. That's the first. And that acted like a fertilizer for illiberal leaders to actually lie consistently that once they're elected, democratically, they can then crush institutions of democracy from within. This is what we have to stem the tide and we have to reverse it.
Thanks so much for that. Congratulations again, Maria Ressa, acquitted of 4 counts of tax evasion. Nobel laureate and Rappler CEO Maria Ressa talking to us live there from Manila.